We have a new video today. We have an Apple Mac that was donated by somebody because it wouldn't power on. I must admit I've got to strip in it a little bit further than I wanted to, but I'll reassemble it all on camera so that you can see how it all fits together. Upon getting this home, it looks fine from the outside. The screen wasn't screwed in. It was my first indicator that somebody had been in it before, and there was no hard drive in it. It's very, very dusty inside. It all needs a very good clean, as you can see. But I think this is the culprit for why it wasn't actually powering on. This is the power supply for the unit, which, as you can see, has suffered some damage. I don't know if it's had liquid in this at some point, but obviously that's why it's not powering on. Very, very dusty. I don't know how much, if anything, that has contributed to the actual problem. So it is an old machine. This is 2011, but just curiosity more than anything. I would like to get it working if we can do. So I have an eBay power supply, $11.99, free postage, which is working. So we have one faulty part, which is fine, and we have a replacement for that. What I have noticed on this board, this is the motherboard that came out of it, everywhere that has capacitors, the board has residue on the back of it. Now, it is an old machine, so I wonder if that has any bearing on it. I have measured all of these caps, and they do seem to be the correct values, as I'm measuring okay. So I think what I'm going to do is just clean everything up as best I can, and then put it back together and see what happens. So I'll pop you in the stand and we'll get it cleaned up. Right, I'm happy with how clean that is. The board is clean as well. So I think I'm just going to put it back together and then see where we go with it. The board does look okay. What I am going to do is just put the heat gun over it just to get rid of that cleaner that I used. Let's just give it a quick go over now. I'm just going to generally go over it from quite a distance because it is quite hot, this. Okay, that's alright to go back in there, I would say. Now, the board is the final part that I took out to get to this point of disassembled. So the first thing that I'm going to put back in again. What I do need to make sure is we'll put some new thermal paste on the heatsink, because it does just sit against that. So let's clean that off first of all. Let's get rid of the old stuff. Okay, so process is nice and clean. Let's get some new installed. Okay, I'm going to lift the board back in, which is the last thing I took out. So this heatsink has a connector on the back which does need to connect to the board. It's quite difficult to see, but let me just try and show you. Okay, so that connector is here, just where my finger is, which you can't actually see. Yeah, and the connector here. And the other thing is the power connector. Sorry for this video, it's a bit tricky. So this power connector, so I've connected that power connector. I'm just going to connect that heatsink connector and then drop the board back into place. Okay, that's not working that good. So I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to disconnect the power connector. I'm going to do this on the bench, which will be much easier. I can probably screw this in. So that heat sink goes on here, and that temperature plug that we're trying to get in is much easier to do when it's on the bench here. Right, there we go. That's the plug in, and I can put the screws in for the heatsink and put that in all as one. So this is the other side of it, and this is the bracket that goes over the top with the torque screws to hold that in. Let's get one or two in there. Okay, so I did take this out separately, but obviously it will come out as one piece, and that's I think what you're supposed to do with it. Okay, so those screws are tight, holding the heatsink on the processor. So at this point, I can put the board back in, and we'll just need to connect on the way is this power connector, and that's going to go here on the board. So I'm going to connect that first and then we'll try again. Okay, power connector is in. Everything held out of the way. And we can drop that in. And wriggle it about to see where it should go. Okay, that appears to be home. What I'm going to do is plug all the connectors in first, just so that I know I've got everything, and then we'll get some screws in. So I'm just going to put you on time lapse while I do that. Okay, got to find, this is power for the hard drive. So this is on the back of the board somewhere. Oh, I can see it there. That's quite lucky, so I don't have to take it off much. Okay, so I've got that connected now. Having a look round, I think this went to something else, so I don't think that goes to the board. I've got nothing down there outstanding. I've got some ODD fan. Okay, I've got a fan to go back in, so that makes sense for that one. Right, so I'm just going to carry on rebuilding on time lapse. I'm going to make sure the board's in place properly and then come back. Okay, so I've just realised that before you put these connectors in, we need to put the frame on, because these all go over it. So let's get rid of all those. Sit the frame on flat. Get some screws in it. This frame holds the other heat sink. It's connected to that. So again, I'll go time lapse and just carry on building up. Okay, I've got some things back together. I'm going to put the new power supply in now. Put these screws back in where they came out. So, old power supply blown up. New power supply has no surround on it. The old one does. So, let's take that off the top. Put on the new one. Okay, it's going to go like that. And this is going to go like that. Let's get that plugged in there. Let's get that plugged in there. Okay, so on this, we've plugged in the input and the output. Clicked in. Sat in. Okay, it doesn't want to go in there. Let's see why not. Better. Let's get that put in place. Okay, that's it. So we're now getting to a point where we can maybe test this. And see if it's going to do anything powering up wise. It's a whole unknown quantity if the display even works. I do have a hard drive I can put into it. Just a relatively small one, but we'll see if we can get any life out of it. Okay, so the power supply is in and seated. I'm at a point where I can put the replacement hard drive in. So I'm going to use this one. So power and data, hard drive in. Just going to set that on there for now. And now, let's try turning it on there and just see if the fans work or if we get any life at all. Maybe that's worth it. Fans on, excellent. Let's turn power off there. Right, so we're doing something right. Let's get the screen on. So on the back of the screen, got a couple of different connectors. I have one here, one down here, main ribbon, and another one. So I'm going to drop the bottom of the screen in fact, power's off, let's just unplug it. I'm going to put the bottom of the screen in. Just took that out for now. So that's where the screen's going to sit. Okay, I'm looking down the back. I'm just trying to make sure that everything gets connected. So I've got this wire, which, okay, I've got a main screen connector. I've got a power supply. Don't know where this ribbon slides into. Oh yes I do. Okay, so that is no good to anyone. Let's try giving that a clean up. I think it's actually melted. That's not good news. Okay, what do we think? Do we give it a go? Is it going to blow the power supply up again? Let's give it a go and see. Okay, so we'll get this one. Okay, that's going to go in there.
that's going to go in there. Where does this one go? Hard disk drive temperature. No cradle in there for the hard drive, so maybe it's on the cradle. We'll just put that out of the way for now. We need to get that in there. We need to get that in there. Now we need to get that in there. Right, everything's connected. What's going to happen? And the power button. Nothing's happening. Okay. Nothing's happening. We know the fan was spinning before we plugged the screen in. Let's unplug that. Try it again. Nothing happened again. Let's plug that back in. Okay, plugged in. Plugged in. Turned on. Fan spinning. Beeping. No display. No display at all. I've not got any RAM in this yet. Okay, turn off. install RAM. Reinstall the RAM. Top first. And bottom. Okay, so we turned on with the RAM installed. Power on. Power on. Very dodgy display. However, it's got a backlight and it doesn't appear to be smashed. So semi-successful. I'm going to take out that dodgy connector and just see what difference that makes to the actual display. So power off. Let's pull the screen forward. Take out the dodgy ribbon. See what we get when we turn it on again. Trying to see what that dodgy ribbon controls. Okay, so that doesn't seem to make a difference to the actual display. The backlight is still coming on, and we've still got some kind of display. Okay, I think we're going to get as far as we're going to get tonight. Got the screen on, backlight's working okay. Obviously a strange pattern on there. There are a couple of cables inside for the display. One of the ribbons was nasty. I've cleaned it up a little bit and put it back in, and that doesn't make a difference to the actual display. There is another display cable which seems to seat okay. So at this point, I don't know whether it's going to be a new display required or if it's another issue. I'm going to have a ponder and then we may come back to it. Back from work, some goodies in the post. We've got a new screen for the Apple Mac. Old one's still in the frame there. So you can see on the new one that's come, we have that connector, which is looking good. We also have this ribbon cable, which was damaged on the old one and sits under there. So I'm going to put this screen together, plug it on, and let's see what happens. Just to recap, I'm going to put the new power supply into this unit. That's what we're getting on the screen. So gently take out the old screen. Have the display connector here. Have the ribbon cable there. Then I can just got another connector over here. Okay, so this is the old screen. I've got this connector over here. We've got that. And we've got
out that big old nasty thing that doesn't seem to connect properly. Okay, so swapping over onto the new screen. So that's the old one that's come off. This is a slightly different orientation, but not sure what this is. I presume it's this. And that's just going to sit like that. The temperature sensor of some sort. What I will do, I'll use the new one. Let's use the one that's come with it. I'll just tape that on. Just having a look inside my unit here, and I do have this connector which is going to hard drive temperature. I've not actually got a hard drive caddy for this, so I'm hoping that we should get some life out of it without needing that. So I've taped the sensor up. Just going to go ahead and fit the screen. So the new screen, or the replacement screen, is fitted. We have power connected. And what are we going to get when we turn on? Well, it's different. Just a white screen. Now, I did notice the sound wasn't as crackly when it came on then as it was previously. So it is an improvement. I need to do, wow, it's loading Windows. I've got Windows on that hard drive. Have I just managed to get a Mac to load up Windows? Not quite sure what's happening here. Just turned it on again. Preparing automatic repair. I'll leave it running for a bit and see what happens. Got an update on the Mac this morning. I used a program called Transmac. Basically wanted to create a USB stick that I could boot and install the OS from. So successfully navigated through that. Found an image to download. I've gone for sort of in the medium one, Mojave. I'm not sure if that will work on this hardware, but it is one of the older ones, so I'm hoping that it does. I'm using a Windows wired keyboard at the moment. So the procedure, I believe, is to hold down the Alt key, turn the Mac on, keep the Alt key held down, wow, and there we go. So it's now showing me EFI boot, which is on the hard drive that's there, which is the Windows drive, and Mac OS Mojave. So let's select that. Okay, let's see what it does. I was a little bit worried that I didn't have the Mac keyboard, which obviously has these different Command and Alt keys, but Alt on the plug-in Microsoft keyboard takes us to that startup menu, so it's all good. Okay, I'm just doing a little bit of research and looking at this page. I'm looking at High Sierra compatibility and iMac late 9 to mid 2017. So this one should be the one that I need to use. Archive.org has come up with High Sierra just in the right hand side there, so just in the process of downloading that, which is going to take 17 or 18 minutes. So whilst that is downloading, this is the program that I've been using, Transmac, and this allows you to create the USB which it boots from. So I'm going to do a quick demo of how to create that boot disk once this High Sierra is downloaded. Okay, so I've saved my image now, High Sierra 1013, which I can now use Transmac. On my data traveler, restore with disk image. Yes, I want to overwrite it. High Sierra. Make sure that is the right one. So my downloads, that one. Okay. Okay, so that's doing it. So that's now going to put that image onto my USB, and then we can try the process again with an OS that will be compatible. I did just guess. I should have done this the first time. Keeping Alt held down. Install Mac OS High Sierra. Apple logo this time. That's looking much more promising. I do have internet connectivity on it. I've plugged a network cable in the back of this. Okay, so when it was showing me the mouse, then I just plugged my mouse in, and it appears to be working. So we want to install Mac OS. To set up the install, press continue. We're going to continue. We're going to agree. We're going to agree to terms. Okay, what does a locked disk mean? Right, we need to go and check that one out, and I'll come back. Okay, so I'm not sure if this is going to work or not. This disk we've connected to the PC. Obviously, it had Windows on it. Just looking through a few things, Disk Manager wouldn't let me do anything to it, wouldn't let me erase it or anything. So I've gone into PowerShell, I'm on disk part, I've selected disk 1 and I've cleaned it, which basically takes everything off it. Succeeded in cleaning the disk. So I'm now going to try it again in the machine. Oh, actually, let me try something else first of all. I'm going to go back to Transmac. No Mac volumes found. Will this let me... See, this won't let me format it as a Mac disk. Just no volumes found. Okay, I'm going to put it back in. Disk part says it's cleaned it. It's not recognising it as GPT or dynamic. I'm going to put it back in and we'll try it. So, I'm just reading through the log. And it's basically telling me that it couldn't install it because the disk isn't a Mac OS extended format. Now I think what I can do is use the same program we used to make the image on the USB. So let me get set up for that and then I'll come back. I'm going to remove the hard drive from the Mac and then reformat it as Mac OS. I'll come back. Okay, where's my power gone? Okay, there we go. So the drive is physically plugged back in. Plug the machine back in. I'll put you on time lapse again for a minute. Okay, I was conscious this video was getting quite long. So I'll just briefly go through what I did. To get the hard drive sorted out that I was going to use in this, I typed disk management into the search bar. It brings up this disk management screen, and by using this device, just connecting to USB, I could plug that drive in which then gave me disc 1 on here, which showed as just a black line as an unallocated one after I did PowerShell and then disk part and wiped that disk totally. So PowerShell disk part clean, I think it was the command, plug it into this disk management. You will then get disk 1 showing up. Right clicked on this and you need to set it up as an exFAT partition. Once that's done, it can go back into the machine, and then the startup steps as we did before: USB in the device, turn it on holding down Alt, and then the instructions are quite straightforward to reinstall the hardware. I've screwed the screen back in. I've just put a couple of screws in because we didn't have the original ones. And now I actually have a working machine. The screens on these are very, very good. It's a really high definition. But this machine is from 2011. So what I have found, well, I'll show you. Just while we're with the machine here, the way that you actually get into these machines is the screen itself is magnetic. So all you do is pop the screen off and lift it up. That's how you actually get into the machine. So refitting that is just the reverse. Drop the bottom in first and then you're back on. So it's up and working. It's got a 128 hard drive in it, which is the one which had Windows on, and it's all good to go. I've got a Microsoft mouse and keyboard on it, which just means that the speech mark and the @ sign are changed over. If I log into the account here, with the correct password, I have linked this to my iCloud account so we can see it's working. As I say, the screens are absolutely brilliant on these. So, examples of, I have updated this, or tried to update it from the App Store. If I open the Safari browser, let's see. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. I did have a look at some other websites, including this one. And although the pictures display here okay, it doesn't display the thumbnails. I've not found a way to do that. So it previews them. I think it will sort of get them eventually, but it is showing its age. I wonder if it's like Flash Player isn't on this, or Flash Player is not used anymore, something like that. But I can't put Chrome on it, Firefox, Edge, or anything like that from the App Store because it is a lower version. There's a couple of apps that I've tried to put on, and it tells me it can't do it because it needs at least Mac OS 12, and obviously this is 10.3, I think. So it does have its uses if somebody wants to use this, as I may do. So you can put Apple devices onto an MDM platform if you use something like that. But as a general used day-to-day computer, it isn't really that usable because it is completely outdated. But as an experiment, it worked okay. We managed to get it to repair by changing the power supply and the new screen. Further down the line, I might try the original screen that was on it with the different cables that came with this new one. We know these cables work okay, and just see which part is faulty. And in a later video, we might even try and put Windows on it. So I'll put it in a playlist, this one, so that if I do try Windows or anything like that, obviously you can find it. So thanks for watching.